Recently, renowned Chinese economic experts have harshly criticized the continuous decline in housing prices on Weibo, blaming it on the public's malicious behavior of not buying houses or taking out loans. They argue that this collective behavior has led to a slump in China's real estate market, making it difficult for major developers to recoup funds in a timely manner, thereby hindering the expansion and construction of new projects. The experts blame the people for maliciously not buying houses. This statement quickly went viral online, sparking widespread anger and discussion among netizens. Many expressed their outrage in the comments, saying that ordinary people are already living very difficult lives and cannot afford the burden of buying a house. Accusing them of maliciously not buying houses is akin to ruthlessly exploiting their living hardships. Take Harbin, the largest provincial capital in the north, as an example. In the past 10 years, especially from 2014 to 2018, the real estate market reached its peak, with housing prices in the city center once exceeding 40,000 yuan per square meter. Such high prices made it impossible for most families to afford a home. Experts accuse the public of deliberately not buying houses and deliberately lowering housing prices, but the fact is, if people's incomes could reach a high standard, who wouldn't want to live in better houses, drive better cars, and send their children to better schools? However, the Chinese people are not experts, they do not have fixed high incomes, and even have to scrape together their annual basic social security fees. How can the people afford to buy houses? Unlike those experts who earn tens of thousands of yuan a month, casually saying a few insincere words to get manuscript fees and bonuses, buying a house worth millions is nothing to them. But for ordinary Chinese people, with a monthly income of 3,000 or 4,000 yuan, after deducting basic living expenses, it is already a blessing to not be in debt. I think experts should study the root causes of the skyrocketing housing prices in the past, rather than blaming the people for not buying houses. In the past, those investors and speculators poured a large amount of money into the real estate market, leading to soaring housing prices. Think about it, 20 years ago, when urbanization had just begun, the monthly income of Chinese people was also 3,000 or 4,000 yuan. By 2016 to 2019, housing prices had multiplied several times, and in some cities, they even multiplied dozens of times, but the income of the people had not significantly increased. Housing prices kept rising, but wages did not. How can the people afford to buy houses? And yet, they are accused of maliciously not buying houses. What if the people maliciously stopped eating, drinking, sleeping, or working? If not buying houses causes prices to fall, then forcing the Chinese people to take out loans to buy houses, does it mean housing prices will definitely rise? If we follow this logic, then shouldn't the experts lead by example and each buy 100 houses?
Why do you think Chinese people are not buying houses now? Is it because they have all woken up? Or have they seen through the essence of real estate and the market, thinking that housing prices can drop further? Actually, none of these reasons apply. I have been selling houses in Jinan for over 10 years, and I can tell you that the real reason most people are not buying houses is because they are poor. They don't have the money, the ability to repay loans, or the confidence to do so. Those so-called reasons like seeing through the market or the essence of real estate are just excuses people give themselves. The fundamental reason is still a lack of money. In first-tier cities, houses costing over 10,000 yuan per square meter still have plenty of buyers, while in Jinan, houses costing 5,000 yuan per square meter are still unaffordable for some. If I had money, I would buy too. Who wouldn't spend if they had the money? So, Chinese experts, don't just focus on researching how to lower down payments or interest rates. These policies don't help those who lack money. You should spend more time researching how to increase people's incomes and raise their salaries. Increasing income is the real solution to the problem. Who wouldn't spend if they had money? I think my current monthly salary of 8,000 yuan isn't considered low in Chongqing. However, I have to spend more than half of my income on mortgage payments, and I also have to pay over 1,000 yuan in support for my parents. This leaves me with just over 2,000 yuan each month for all my expenses. This really includes everything: food, transportation, phone bills, toiletries. I used to have 3 meals a day, but now it's down to 2, and I'm budgeting carefully every single day. My commute to work takes over an hour, and I take the light rail every day. If a month comes where I have to give a gift for a friend's celebration, it really frustrates me. Don't tell me to quit my job. Those years during the pandemic were really tough on me. I didn't work for over 3 months, had no income, still had to pay my mortgage, and had to borrow money to get by. As for dating or hanging out with friends, I avoid them as much as I can. It's not feasible when you don't have money. If you eat someone else's meal, you have to think about how to repay them the next day. When I think about my future, having to work hard for another 20 years to pay for a concrete box, and still having to pay the mortgage in my 50s or 60s, life feels really tough. I've sacrificed so much for this pile of reinforced concrete.
Do you know what life is like for families with a 1 million yuan mortgage? My husband and I both come from rural areas and have always dreamed of owning a home in the city. When we got married in 2013, my in-laws helped us buy a small apartment in Chengdu. It wasn't big, and it was a resettlement housing unit in the suburban rural fringe, but we still wanted to buy an elevator apartment through our own efforts. Later, in 2017, we finally had some savings and bought a small 3-bedroom apartment in the suburbs of Chengdu. We were overjoyed at the time, but we also took on a 300,000 yuan mortgage, with monthly payments of more than 2,000 yuan. After that, my husband worked hard to earn more money, and in 2020, we bought a second-hand elevator apartment in the city. My husband said we could finally settle down in the city. However, this time we took on a 700,000 yuan mortgage, bringing our total mortgage debt to 1 million yuan, with monthly payments of about 7,000 yuan. I won't even talk about how stressful it was. The worst part was that after a few years of payments, my husband almost had a breakdown when he saw the repayment details from the bank. For the 700,000 yuan loan, we had been paying over 4,000 yuan a month for almost 2 years, totaling over 80,000 yuan, but only about 20,000 yuan of that was principal. For the 300,000 yuan loan, we had paid a total of 110,000 yuan over 5 years, but only about 60,000 yuan was principal. Most of our payments were going toward interest, effectively meaning that most of our monthly payments were just making money for the bank. My husband got so frustrated that he decided to pay off the loan early. Now we are debt-free and feel much less pressure. So, don't listen to those experts who say that a mortgage is the cheapest loan an ordinary person can get in their lifetime. I don't believe them at all. These so-called experts in China are really bad.
Now, it's really difficult for young people in China. We can't afford to buy a house, get married, or have children. Honestly, this isn't our fault, it's a societal issue. First, let's talk about bride price. In essence, bride price is meant to show respect and gratitude to the bride's parents. However, nowadays, many places have turned bride price into a way to make money, asking for 200,000 yuan, 300,000 yuan, 500,000 yuan, or even 1 million yuan in some areas. What should be a gesture of marrying off a daughter has now become a transaction of selling a daughter. Next is housing. When it comes to marriage, the man is expected to buy a house in the city. If he doesn't, the mother-in-law won't agree, and even the girlfriend might look down on him. I want to ask, why does the responsibility of buying a house fall solely on the man? With such high bride prices and expensive housing, how can young people who just started working afford to buy a house? Can't a couple get married first and then work together to buy a house? Bride price and housing shouldn't be obstacles to young people's marriages or burdens after marriage, so experts shouldn't blame us young people for not getting married, not having children, or not buying houses. I think a reasonable bride price and higher wages would be the best encouragement for us young people.
In today's China, is there anything more alarming than young people being unwilling to spend? High-end antiques are left untouched, luxury goods remain unsold, designer clothes go unworn, high-end cars aren't being purchased, upscale entertainment venues are deserted, and even premium liquor is not being consumed. Young people don't even want to spend money to watch a movie. Most importantly, houses are not being bought, marriages are not happening, children are not being born, and even the proportion of stock investors under the age of 30 is only 3%. Chinese capitalists, despite their meticulous planning, have lost their way when faced with the collective, lying flat, movement of the post-2000 generation. Some say these young people are selfish, some call them a lost generation. However, through their actions, they are teaching the capitalists a lesson. The decline of an industry isn't solely due to young people's reluctance to spend, but their unwillingness to take over is indeed a crucial factor. The market is fundamentally driven by supply and demand. Where there is demand, there is supply. Now, demand is shrinking at an unprecedented rate, making the collapse of the supply side inevitable. As young Chinese completely lie flat, liquor will no longer lubricate social interactions, cigarettes will no longer numb minds, and the decline will continue at a visible rate. What do you think about the phenomenon of young people in China collectively choosing not to buy houses? Feel free to leave your comments below and join the discussion. That's all for today's video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. We will continue to provide you with genuine reports as always. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.